What happens when another person occupies the governor's seat and attempts this kind of power grab? What other set of offenses might a governor in the future not like and remove from local prosecutors?
Maricopa County's top prosecutor, Rachel Mitchell, accuses Governor Katie Hobbs of setting a, quote, dangerous precedent by seizing control of abortion prosecutions from all of the state's county prosecutors. Mitchell made her first public comments last week on the governor's sweeping executive order that shields women who obtain abortions, as well as providers, from potential prosecution. The Republican prosecutor said a lawsuit was possible. Now, Mitchell wasn't the only source of blowback. Did the governor go too far with this apparently unprecedented order? Joining us to discuss all that and much more, Chris Love, a lawyer, Democratic advocate, and former board chair of Planned Parenthood Advocates, and Marcus Dell'Artino, Republican consultant at First Strategic Communications here in Phoenix. Welcome back to Square Off. Good to see you guys.
Great to see you.
On this holiday weekend. Yeah. Chris, you're an advocate for expanded reproductive rights. Did Katie Hobbs go too far with this order?
Absolutely not. I think that this is a solution that consolidates power for consistency purposes in prosecuting under the current legal structure that we have here in Arizona. We've just seen one of the county attorneys try to intervene in one of the abortion rights cases that's currently happening right now. And so this is a move to ensure that certain county attorneys aren't enforcing these laws in different ways that are inconsistent.
Is this unprecedented, and how could it be used in the future, as Rachel Mitchell asked?
I think it's unprecedented, but I'd have to go back through my history book and sort of have to take a check on what we've done in the past. But yeah, it is a slippery slope, because if you're going to make this, tell prosecutors you can't do this in this particular case, what's next? Are we going to start telling them what they can and can't do in murder cases, in home robberies, in assaults? I mean, the list goes on. And so, you know, that's Rachel's point, is we're setting a dangerous precedent, and 15 prosecutors across the state of Arizona are upset about it, and I think it's going to go to court, and I don't think it's going to go well for the governor's office.
And Rachel Mitchell has threatened litigation, so has the state legislature. The only justification I've heard so far, what came from Attorney General Chris Mays, only precedent I should say, came from Attorney General Chris Mays, also an abortion rights advocate like the governor, who pointed to a case almost 50 years ago involving the murder of Don Bowles, an Arizona Republic reporter that had to be turned over to the AG because of problems in the Maricopa County Prosecutor's Office, a very specific case. So there really is no precedent for this that anybody's shown us, is there?
Not necessarily, but they're interpreting a very specific statute that allows the governor to consolidate this power in the AG. I don't think that they ever thought that they weren't going to get sued. So we will see what the courts say in interpreting this statute that really has not a lot of tests in the court so far.
So you're saying that the Hobbs administration is ready for a lawsuit, anticipated a lawsuit?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm surprised that they've waited this long. We haven't seen anything yet. And I think that the interpretation of this statute and using this particular statute came as a surprise to a lot of the folks who are anti-abortion here in the state.
Okay, Senate Republicans hit the pause button on their review of Katie Hobbs' nominees to lead state agencies. That's presumably why the legislature is still in session, a record-setting session. Republican Senate President Warren Peterson sent a letter to Hobbs requesting a meeting about what he called her questionable action so they can, quote, move forward in a bipartisan manner. Should Katie Hobbs take that meeting? Will she take that meeting?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, Bram, this is the governor who's consistently said, I have an open door policy. I'm happy to meet with anybody at any time. And so they have sort of set themselves up for this. And I would imagine this will be the first of many letters that go up there expressing the exact same thing. I think they painted themselves somewhat in a corner. If they refused to take the meeting, that means that her words weren't genuine when she said, I have an open door policy. But I will tell you this, if they do have the meeting, I don't imagine it's going to be particularly productive moving forward.
And it does seem, though, that Republicans got what they wanted by keeping this session going, right? They've held her nominees in the Dino Committee, the Committee on Director Nominations, which hasn't approved hardly any of her nominees. How much does that hurt her, again, not having those folks in place?
It doesn't hurt her. And it doesn't even hurt the citizens of Arizona, to be quite honest with you, because there are professionals over there that are running those agencies. But it has massively helped the Republicans. Every time she sends out an executive order, it's an opportunity for them to come back. When they come back on July 31st, if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd said they're going to sign, die, and go home, and that'll be the end of it. I think we're going to see a series of bills on July 31st, banning using public dollars for gender changing surgeries, I think would be the first bill out. Now, will that bill get vetoed? Yeah, but it will absolutely be a political point. And to your earlier point, remember, Arizona is a battleground going into this presidential election. So we're going to see a lot of this type of behavior in the next couple of years.
I want to show a new Gallup poll on abortion rights opinions. The U.S. Supreme Court decision last year overturning a woman's constitutional right to an abortion has only strengthened support for reproductive rights. 3 data points. 52% of Americans say abortion is morally acceptable. That matches last year's all-time high. That's also 10 points above the historical average since 2001. A record high, 69% say abortion should generally be legal in the first 3 months of pregnancy. And this one, just 13%, a point off the all-time low, want it to be illegal in all circumstances. Chris, is that data driving the Democratic strategy right now as we head into 2024 and possibly a statewide vote on reproductive rights?
Absolutely. I think that the more that we talk about abortion in this political cycle, more likelihood that Democrats will win. And so it's interesting that, Republicans like Rachel Mitchell and others are taking this tack of attacking the governor for her stances, or very pro-repro stances that she's had, because we know that, she won her election primarily because of her stances on abortion rights. And so I think it's just going to help Democrats up and down the ballot the longer that we keep talking about this.
Got to pause it there. We'll be back in just a minute.